You're welcome back. Erastus Asaridonko is right here in our studios. He is an investigative and environmental journalist with the Multimedia Group, the GJA Journalist of the Year last year. Erastus, thanks. We thank God that we have you here in the studio. So tell us about it. I was busy doing some project work, and a very respectable Ghanaian citizen approached me and said, so they want to kill your journalists. I said, what's going on? He said, yes, they want to kill your journalists. I said, who wants to kill our journalists? He says, Erastus. What happened?
So it was supposed to be one of our normal investigations we do. We got information from a very respected Ghanaian that what they are doing to that restored forest wasn't good, and we should investigate. So we set out on Sunday. We reached there around 9:30 a.m. and we started our investigations. In fact, when we flew the drone initially, there was nobody on site. But when we approached, we saw two young men. We greeted them, went about doing our investigations. And then when we flew the drone, it went very far and we're picking the feed. Then I overheard him call somebody on the Motorola and said, there are some media men here, so come. So, it rang a bell in my ear. So I told the guy to bring back the drone. And before the drone could land, there were over 10 heavily built men, all of them armed with pump-action guns and rifles. So they approached angrily and asked us why we are filming the grounds. So they seized the drone. Even before it would touch down, one of the guys reached out and grabbed it. Then they seized the camera, did a thorough body search on us, took our phones, everything. Then they ordered us that we should board our vehicle and follow them. So I asked them, where are you taking us? Then he said, we are taking you to see the owner of the site in the next town. I said, fine. So one armed guy sat behind my driver in our car. Then the other one went into the bucket. Then there were two vehicles ahead of us, other vehicles behind, and motorbikes flanking us. So we drove for like 20 minutes. We got past the town that they said we were going, and they were still going. So I stopped the vehicle and I asked them, where are you taking us? Then they said, you don't have the right to ask us questions. You came to our site illegally. We want to do as we please with you. So if your driver cannot drive, then I am asking them to get him out. So they brought some gunmen. They wanted to force the driver out. And I said, okay, fine, let's go. So we drove for another 20 minutes. We entered some bushy area. There was an untarred road. Then they stopped the vehicles and asked us to get out. So at that point, I was really scared because I didn't know what they were going to do. Are they going to shoot us? What are they going to do? So I was asking them, why have you brought us here? You said we were going to see the site owner. Now we are in the bush. So what are we doing here? Then before I could say jag, two hot slaps from behind, and they pulled me out. Then they opened the doors, asked everybody to get out.
You had three other people with you?
Yeah, the drone pilot, the camera technician, and my driver.
Okay.
Then they started beating us. This one will come, slap you from behind. The other one will come, punch you.
You said you were about how many?
We were four.
No,
but they were more than 10.
All armed?
Fully armed. Pump action, rifles, knives. They were dressed like they were bandits.
Yeah, so what happened next?
So they started beating us. And in fact, the next 30 minutes, hot slaps. You wouldn't know. You'd be standing there and then one would come from behind, wham.
They held you for as long as 30 minutes?
Yes. There were exchanges here and there. They said we should open our passwords. They want to format our phones. And I was trying to say that if you think we've taken pictures of your site, let me open the folder for you. Take then delete your pictures. But when you say you are formatting my phone, you can't do that. I received a lot of slaps from there, so I had to give in. I said, okay, fine, do what you want with the phone. Then he was trying to do it, he was asking of my Apple ID. Seriously, I didn't remember it. So I told him I don't remember the Apple ID. And that infuriated them more. So the more we talk, they think we are lying and slaps. So eventually I saw a minibus approaching on the untarred road.
They ended up formatting your phones?
Yeah, they formatted 2 of the phones. They deleted mine. They were not able to do it, so they deleted the files.
Okay.
Then I went in front of the bus and it stopped. Then I yelled at the driver that we are journalists. I mentioned my name. We work with multimedia. They are trying to kill us. So help us. Then the driver stopped the vehicle, wanted to get out. Then they surrounded the bus with their guns and asked him to move. So he moved the vehicle. So I think it was at that time that they realized that somebody has gotten to know, so they have to leave. So then they grabbed a bag in my vehicle. It contained drone batteries, headset, tablets, and other things we used to operate the drone. Then they left.
They abandoned you guys there?
Yeah. So we went to the nearest town, Mansonkran, and we wanted to file a case with the police there, but they said they did not have jurisdiction, so we should go to Mansour Dubia. So we drove to Mansour Dubia, we filed a case, we were given forms to go to the Agro-Esum hospital. Then when we came back, they gave us 8 people, 8 police personnel armed. We went back to the site and we met them. They were there, this time without their guns. But there were heated verbal exchanges with the police. Some of them saying it is their government that is in power. They are not entering any vehicle with any police. So they are refusing invitation. They are not joining the police vehicle. So the police left them. And we went back to Mansour Dubia, wrote our statements, and left the town in the night, around 9.
We'll come to the pressure that's been brought to bear on the police and the 3 that have been arrested. But what exactly did you go to this place to do? What's the name of the place again?
Asenanyo Forest Reserve.
Asenanyo Forest Reserve.
Yes.
Where is it located?
It's located in Amansia South district of Ashanti region. It's close to Mansonkran.
Right.
If you are coming in from the Sefi area, it's close to Sefi Abuoso.
And there's mining in the forest reserve.
Yes.
But now the government has instructed that they should, as it were, restore the place after a period of mining.
So the forest, that forest is part of a restoration project that has been done, I think, about 3 years ago. So they've grown citronella trees to restore that part of the forest, and some of them are matured, and they are uprooting all those trees. In fact, they
are uprooting the trees.
Yes,
again.
They have destroyed a number of the trees, the restored trees.
This is a special project.
Yeah.
Where the state is ensuring that the forest that is lost is restored.
Yes.
And it's been going on for a number of years now.
Yeah.
And these guys have gone back to this place and they are uprooting.
They've uprooted a number of them, as you saw in the footages there. They've uprooted and now they've destroyed a large part of the restored forest. The Asenanyo River has been redirected, turned into a muddy pool. You know that river joins the Ankobra, and it's highly polluted now.
So what form of mining was going on at this place when you got there?
I would say Galamsey. More like an artisanal miner.
We understand that there's small scale or some proper mining that is going on, not Galamsey, right?
So you saw the footage for yourself on TV. The videos never lie, and you saw how they were mining. If you look on your screen right now, you see the kind of mining they are doing. This is artisanal mining. They are supposed to have settling ponds by law, large scale. They are not supposed to use the artisanal washing method. That is what they are using now. They don't have the settling ponds. They don't have a tailings dam. Can you imagine a large-scale mining like Newmont, mining without a tailings dam, spilling contaminants into the environment and polluting the already restored part of the forest? If you look at this, This is completely criminal. This is illegal. And I wonder what kind of job the Minerals Commission did.
And the river or the water you're talking about is closer?
Now, the river is supposed to be where you see. It's supposed to be lying there. You can't even distinguish it from the mess. So it's been redirected. It's been part of the pools of contaminants you see there.
I see. So they didn't want you to, take this footage.
Yes. In fact, this is why they were beating us. They wanted to be sure that they've deleted these footages we are showing you right now. And so they took the SD card from the camera. They took the SD card from the drone. It's with them still. So they were preventing us from showing this. They deleted footages from our phones because they did not want this to be shown on TV. And I asked myself, if he was doing responsible...
How come you have this?
We have our ways. We have our ways. If they were doing responsible mining, why would you prevent footages of responsible mining from coming out?
But there's supposed to be a responsible, as it were, company it's in charge of this project. Is that not so?
The mining lease shows Edel Metallum Resources Limited. And I have the owners on the mining lease, the names of them on the one I have right now. I wish I could.
So there's a mining lease that covers this area where the mining that is going on is not in line with what legal mining ought to be, correct?
Exactly. There's a mining lease, and on the lease we have one Philip Edem Kuchenyo and one Adeline Tete as a director and secretary. And our investigations also reveal some other names, Simon Aiden and Reynolds Kwabi, as we have found over there.
Have you been able to make any contacts? Have the police made any contacts with these people who are responsible for call it the concession, which is being turned into an illegal mining field?
So our team reached out to Reynolds Kwabi. We sent him a message on WhatsApp. We have not gotten any response from him yet. We also placed calls. My supervisor placed calls to one of the managers as well. He picked the call initially. Just as we were about to introduce ourselves, he cut the call. We called again. He sent a message back that he will call us back, but has since not.
Who are these who have been arrested, those who have been arrested by the police?
So they've not given us their names, but we were asked to identify them, and we were able to identify them. They
as part of the gang?
Yes, as part of the gang.
Okay.
And they said they walked in voluntarily, and they arrested them.
Oh, the people surrendered themselves?
Yeah.
And so what's happened to them so far?
As of this morning when I spoke with the police, one DSP Jan, he was telling me that they are preparing them for court. I asked when the court date.
They arrested them on which day?
That was Monday.
Monday?
Yes.
And they've still not been put before court?
Yeah, he said they've granted them bail. They are preparing them for court.
The police granted them bail?
Yeah.
Do you know which day they did?
I wouldn't know.
Okay.
So
they are not demonstrators. If you are demonstrators, they will not be granted bail. So, yes, they've granted them bail.
They've granted them bail. They said they are processing them for court. I asked which date, and they said on Monday they will go to the Bekwai court to take a date. I thought they were arraigning them before court on Monday, but he said on Monday they will go to Bekwai court to take a date.
Yes, that would be the arraignment.
Yeah.
And so what it means now is that now they are on police inquiry bail.
Yeah.
The kind of bail I spoke about here when I said when the protesters were arrested, the police could have processed them for bail. So they are on police inquiry bail. They do it so swiftly for these Galamseyers that they arrest them across the country. So, but when they do that, subsequently when they present them before court, there will have to be a formal bail application before the court. And then the court might adopt the police bail or give different conditions for the bail. So that's right. They will be arraigned, as you have been told, on Monday. Okay. Do you have a sense that they are doing more than that because it's not 3 people that abducted you?
I am a bit, I have some reservations on how the police handled this, though they gave us the assistance we need. In fact, when we called on them, they sent armed police with us to the site.
As many as 8, right?
Yes, as many as 8. We felt that they could have arrested some of them, but they have their own reason why they did not.
No, but it can be difficult.
Yeah.
You know, to have, you said how many people?
There were about 10.
10 people, all armed. And you see, the police will do a professional job. And they were 8. If they did anything and things went wrong, these guys, maybe by now, you may not be alive.
Yeah.
So let's be a little careful.
That's why I'm saying I don't know. So I want to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
It was the following day when we got reinforcement and we went back to the site.
Okay.
I suggested that I knew where they could be, so we should move ahead to those places. But they said their vehicles cannot move to those places.
So, they are bold, eh?
Yeah.
This can be very risky.
Yeah.
You have heard a whole regional minister say that he went to a Galamsey site with the RECSEC, task force, police, and soldiers. When they got there, they saw over 100 people. All of them were armed. And they decided that they had to retreat. So they didn't approach them. So it can be dangerous. Look, Gary, this is how dangerous it's becoming. And you hear Professor Kwesienin and the rest of them suggest that if we are not careful, we'll get to a time where these gangs within Galamsey sites will overpower our security, at least the police. They will become like your typical Boko Haram guys.
Something, good morning. Good morning to my brother Kofi, and then good morning to Erastus. I think you are doing a very good job, and you should be commended for what you are doing. It's very disturbing to hear these kind of stories that in the quest of your work as a journalist, then you have to be faced with this kind of life-threatening situations. I don't think it's right. It's not right. I mean, but you see something. The problem I think we have been faced as a country is the issue of partisan politicization of this menace called illegal mining. I mean, how can somebody take some fines and whatever you call it to go to our water bodies, to go and be mining to destroy our water? And everybody's looking on because they say, well, if you go and talk about it, they say you suffer political consequences. And you have people now going on radio and television to say that, yes, I went to the place to say, we will let you do the mining when we come to power. That is a problem. We must depoliticize it and face this matter as a matter of national security. Both political parties, NPP and DC, let's work together. Because, I mean, listening to him this morning, I'm shivering.
You know the task force.
Situation.
You know the task force that has just been relaunched, and it went to the Brim River and drove away the Galamseyers there, burnt 18 shamfans and other, machines that were sitting on the Brim. 3 days after that exercise, some of them went back. So last week, Adam Stram, who took drone shots, footage of that place, showed us the footage, and you saw the Galamseyers right there. They were back.
They are back doing the same, illegality.
So it suggests that what we are doing is not effective.
For me, I think that we should station the military permanently on those areas. You see, fly drones there, station them permanently, because if you do like maybe you shifting cultivation. You go on this side, and then you move to that side, and then you close, and you move, and they come back. It's like it can't be effective. It should be stationed there permanently. I don't understand why people will go to the water bodies and all this to go and do mining. I don't understand it.
Erastus, what do you know the tax force, after they went to the Birim River, where else have they been to?
They went to other areas in the Western region. But I have personally spoken with some members of the task force, and what they tell me doesn't show commitment.
What do you mean?
They said that they are giving daily schedules on where to go and where not to go. Sometimes they are staring at people who are polluting the rivers, and they are told they cannot arrest them.
You're serious about this?
Yes.
That there are places they can go, but there are other places they cannot
go. And they
perhaps
are
for security reasons, that maybe those who are there are more, they have better weapons than the Ghana army.
I don't know what to say to that. If they have better weapons than the Ghana army, then we are doomed. If a whole battalion like that will go to an area and they are seeing people who are polluting the river and they cannot arrest them, then why are we
I don't believe
in the first
this.
place? Yes, I spoke with some members of it. I don't want to go further to reveal who and all that, but I've spoken extensively. They talk with me because they also want to tap on the experience I have. So some of them call me and ask me of areas that they can go. And they tell me those stuff, that sometimes when you are at the site, a call will come that move from that site. Sometimes DCs will come and say, you cannot go through here. Sometimes they give them a long route. By the time they get there, the people are gone.
The Ghana Journalists Association issued a statement under the hand of Albert Jumfo, and they're saying that the lease for this particular metallum, is it? Edel metallum should be, as it were, revoked. You support that?
Like I said initially, I want to ask the Minerals Commission, when was the last time they went there?
They are overwhelmed. Can't you see? They're overwhelmed.
What is their regulatory oversight over that site? Because if you're overwhelmed, then let's stop giving the license.
But they tell you also that they've been to places and they've reported to the police, and the police simply have not acted. What do you want the Minerals Commission people to do? They are not gun-wielding officers.
Then let's stop.
The Forestry Commission officers, they don't have guns.
When you are not ready, then you don't do it at all. So why are we issuing licenses when we cannot even regulate the licenses? Because once you issue the license, it means you should play your regulatory role over that license.
It's a collective responsibility.
The coordinates that you are giving to that particular licenses, you should make sure they are operating within the coordinates. You should make sure that whatever methods they are using to mine conform with the regulations. If you cannot do that job, then you don't have any business at all issuing new licenses. But as we have seen, we are issuing fresh licenses to people to mine in forest reserves. There is a roadmap.
The principle we are told about issuing fresh licenses is that that's actually the solution. Because if you don't give license, they will do it illegally. But if you give them license, you can bring them under your fold and regulate them. You don't agree to that?
So how are we regulating them? We are back to square one. So you're trying to solve a problem with a solution that is not feasible. You can't regulate them. You want to solve illegal mining. Now you're giving the licenses, and then they are using the license, you can't regulate them, so it falls back to Galamsey. What have you done? You are worsening the problem.
Maybe in that process, you'll be able to regulate a good number, and maybe the few will do the wrong thing. Yes, Kofi, hold on.
Okay.
Kofi, what are you thinking as you hear this chilling story and the bravado that we seem to become aware of the operators and how they go about it, to the extent that a whole RECSEC and a task force will go to a place and retreat for fear that these people will overpower them?
Well, Samson, good morning to you and good morning to Gary and Erastus. And I empathize with you in the situation that you and your colleagues really were subjected to. It's really, aside the risk of it, of possibly losing your lives, it's dehumanizing.
The trauma.
And exactly the trauma of it. But you see, I will not accept this proposition about partisan comments in relation to Galamsey Act as the basis for which an elected authority, a mandated authority with power, cannot deal with the situation. I will not. Why? We're mere
Do people care about anything apart from votes?
We're mere demonstrators who were demonstrating against the ill, creating awareness, not hacked and dumped in the cells and further remanded for many days. Was there no political comments on that? But they did it. They had the will to do it. What is stopping the person with authority from taking steps to declare forest reserves, water bodies, and such areas, declaring a state of emergency?
But Gary is talking about a fact that you cannot deny. And we are quick to play it about recent matters, and we don't go a little back. You see it show, even in some research papers, when Mahama was campaigning to retain power, and he was talking about regulating the process. Akufo-Addo was speaking just like Mahama also began to speak when Akufo-Addo was also saying, when we come, we will try and regulate the process. So the two of you, like they say, Dukadaya.
Samson, I don't think John Dramani Mahama has shifted his position as far as small-scale mining or Galamsey or illegal activities is concerned. He's been very consistent. He's been very consistent as he was in 2016 and now. The only other addition he talked about was the fact that when you lock up the little flies and leave the key financiers you don't trace to deal with them, there will be many more flies to be picked by these financiers, those who are benefiting from the destruction of our water bodies. You need to put a system in place that tackles the roots. Those who buy the excavators, those who buy the pickups, those who buy the pump actions, those who buy the rifles. Because as for the young persons to be put in the forest and in our water bodies, you would always find them. Arrest 1,000 today, you will get 2,000 who will be willing to move in there. So you don't solve the problem by such means. Where is the difficulty in declaring those areas as becoming under an emergency situation? So that when anyone is walking there, the person knows that even by my movement towards that place, there is a certain declaration that anyone who spots me, anyone who sees me, can take some action. But if it remains that you send a platoon there, they go and burn champagnes. Some of them get burnt even in the water bodies. And so you are not really burning the destructive part of the champagne. When you burn what we see on the surface, you haven't done anything. Those ones are just platforms that are built right there. The real body that is doing harm to the water body is down there, and you are not able to burn that part. But when you declare a state of emergency in such areas, whether there is a permanent military presence there or security presence there, let me use security and not just say military, security presence there or not, there's a certain understanding that water bodies, forest reserves, the state of emergency is being declared. So you step there at your peril. But until you do that, and I don't see the difficulty, I don't see the president has taken steps and has brought anything to Parliament for Parliament to pass to enable him effect, and Parliament have refused. You have not brought anything before.
You guys have joined the public to complain when you pass this law that allows mining in forest reserve. It was passed by Parliament.
You know, it was. I don't hold brief for scientists, but you know that Parliament works with committees. We've worked with Mines and Energy Committee.
Right.
We've worked with Lands and Natural Resource Committee that have dealt with issues to do with mining. This very LI that has become troubling was smuggled through EPA, through the committee responsible for environment. And so the kind of attention, focus that has been
We'll come to talk about that because Okujeto Ablakwa, Al Hassan Suhini, and Francis Xavier Sosu have started a process for a private members' bill to revoke to cancel that provision that allows for mining in forest reserve. But I'm going to ask the question whether that is not just for populist purposes, because I thought we knew that organized labor, when they took the decision that they would not strike, it was because they had been given the assurance that the state was going to take steps and that the state had actually started what it's required to change that law. So why are they still doing this? I said we'll come to that. I will come to that. Let Erastus take leave of us. Erastus, this must have shaken you and your team. What are you looking forward to? I really hope that this has not led to a point where you become afraid to continue with your work.
No, it hasn't gotten there, but we are looking for justice. Secondly, we want our items returned. In fact, those drone batteries, the tablets are very expensive for common journalists like us. We bought them with our own monies, and we need them back. And I think the police will do a very good job to get those items back to us. This is what we do. We only have to be more careful. We only have to review our security protocols going forward. But definitely, it's not a job that we intend to quit.
At least how much do you need for that drone?
The drone we hire at the moment.
You rent it?
You rent it, yeah. Okay. And it's a very expensive product, so we cannot buy it ourselves.
I see. All right. Thank you. You're expecting that the police will make more arrests?
Yes, they can, and we expect them to do so.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Erastus. You want to say something? Just a minute?
A minute,
yes. We take a break.
Yes. You see, just to reiterate the point that I made. Professor Mills on 4th of August 2011.
Can we move away from the politics?
That is why I'm saying that we have to depoliticize it.
Mm-hmm. So start depoliticizing. Don't get into the politics.
It has run through President Mahama, President Mills, President Mahama, President Akufo-Addo put his president on the line. Let's get to a stage, which I think we have come now.
Yeah, things have gotten really worse.
Where we must now all agree, as a nation, collectively, me and my brother will be on one side,
right,
to now fight against the menace.
Okay.
That is the point I'm making.
Thank you very much. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. It's brought to you by Bank of Africa, strong as a group and close as a partner. MTN everywhere you go. Ashesi University, educating ethical and entrepreneurial leaders for Africa. Robert & Sons Optical Services, your comprehensive eye care service provider for 33 plus years. My Way Insurance, dial *165# on MTN to join My Way today. DPS International, where every child shines. Flamingo Paint, simply superior. Syntex Tanks, it's strong, it is tough. Activa International Insurance, our clients are passion. And my outfits, as always, is by Konati Clothing. What you wear counts. You can find Konati Clothing at Adenta Shopping Center, Adenta Down. You can call them 0244 676732, 0244 676732. And thank you all for still keeping your dials and your channels here. My guest You have been listening to Erastus Osare Donko, award-winning journalist of the year. Last year, he is an investigative and environmental journalist with the Multimedia Group. He and his crew were attacked by gun-wielding Galamsey operators working on a lease, a concession properly leased to a legal mining firm. Also here in the studio, you have Kofi Adams, who is MP, Buem and Ranking Security and Intelligence Committee member, Public Accounts and Independent Constitutional Bodies of Parliament. Gary Nimakomafo is Director Legal Affairs of the New Patriotic Party. Dr. Theo Champong is Political Risk Analyst and Economist. He joins us via Zoom, as well as Dr. Rashid Draman, Executive Director, African Center for Parliamentary Affairs. Thank you very much for keeping your dials here. I'm going to share some of your messages shortly with you. But Prince says that until we stop pretending, fighting Galamsey, we will not achieve anything. Okay, we've heard that. It says the NPP government has made Galamsey one of their social interventions, all because Party Yensika. Very sad. Okay, so that's a point we want to stay away from. And you saw when I told Gary not to go there, when I asked him not to go there, he obliged. And I'm happy that, you know, our guests will do that. Emmanuel Ejay Anshre, MP, he says, I salute Erastus Asare Donko. They should keep up with the job and not be cowered into submission, because we have to be citizens and not spectators. K. Amofa is posting on X, Ghana's immediate challenge is honest and forthright leadership. Citizens can no longer believe anyone about any issue in this country. Brian Brown on X says the illegal mining, Galamsey issue in Ghana, and the misinterpretation of the status of the 4 parliamentarians who are also candidates for the 2024 elections are 2 sides of the same coin. Lack of principle and leadership. Prince Harry sends his message here. I'm sure it's the same Prince Harry whose message I have already read. Thank you for those messages. Keep your messages coming, and I'll endeavor to share a good number of them with the rest of the world. Joseph Edusei says on Facebook that majority of the problem we are having with Galamsey are actually with the so-called registered mining companies. People don't understand the problems we have. Okay, really bad. All right. Thank you. You're sending some more, but we can deal with them a little later. But let me take this final one from Al-Haj Suleiman. He says, I find it irreconcilable that anyone who claims to be against Galamsey will say there is no need for declaring a state of emergency when clearly the farce of a military deployment is not yielding any outcome. We're either against Galamsey to its core or we are not. There is no middle ground. And this is an eco-minded person sending in that one. Right. Now, Dr. Theo Champong will take very, snappy comments from you on this Galamsey issue, and then we go forward. Let's hear you, Doc.
If you can hear me.
Yes,
good morning
clearly.
to everyone.
Yep.
Okay. No, I've been following the conversation. I think foremost, like others have said, we must commend Erastus for the job that he's doing, putting his life, in the betterment of us. So, and it again indicates the sad narration of the issues. I took a photo myself. I put it on social media last night. Over the weekend, the last weekend, I went to Takwa. We flew into Takwa Day, and coming back into Accra, I took a photo of the Pra River estuary where you've got the town of Shama, and you could almost see the river had become milky, or as I put it, millowy. It's like mixing Milo with milk, and it was actually quite that bad, partly as a result of the Galamsey issues, no doubt. But fundamentally, what it also for me does review is, and I've said this earlier, that the system is broken, and especially on the issues of the licensing, I think, and I've said this again before, that we've got to put a pause to it. And Erastus made an important point, that there is no point licensing what you cannot regulate, right? You look at where he went to, and these are companies that are meant to be operating legally. However, the method, the means that they are using to extract that gold is an illegality. It flouts almost every law or practice in the context of the mining regulations in the country. So it shows you really that it's not just a problem of the small people, doing the, call it illegal or the Galamsey, but even so-called companies that have been given licenses from Accra and other places are very much using dubious and dodgy methods in extracting this gold. And there is also the national security dimension that we have to pay very serious attention to. You talk to Dr. Enin, Professor Enin, and the likes, and very clear, the security experts will tell you that we may be possibly dealing with a Niger Delta type issue on our hands if we don't address it with the issue of the weapons and arms that are, going around within the system. So the temporal banning or putting in place the issuance of those licenses, like I argued 2 weeks ago, I think that would help, a great deal. But the issues are devoid of politics. I mean, you look at the financiers, those that are putting in the money into this, and those in the space will tell you people from different strata of spheres of society are involved in financing this, illegal monies. And many of the people we're arresting at the mine sites are just the tip of the iceberg. And it's both legal and, illegal forms of mining. And
their decision to go on a strike, and that was the best opportunity for them. They should have gone on the strike, and by now we would have seen real action. The state of emergency would have happened, and a lot more would have gone into this process than we are currently seeing. You were against that. Are you beginning to change your mind? Have you seen anything that is seeking to improve the situation?
I'm still against it. I'm not sure how a state of emergency actually, would change things. People have argued that, okay, declare a state of emergency in those specific rivers, mine sites, and things like that, and at least you can have like a targeted action in and around that. But if you do that without necessarily, for example, scrapping the laws, changing the way the licensing regime is done, and like Erastus showed you, they went to some of these places. The police people went there.
Yeah, it's an extraordinary problem. You need extraordinary solutions. You don't need the normal solutions.
Yes. So the extraordinary solutions that you need, I don't think that putting a state of emergency would be a long-term solution.
Thank you. Now let's go to Parliament. Let's go to Parliament at this juncture. Thank you very much.